Hello again. The main stories in London now, and 7 men have been charged with grievous bodily harm after 2 people were put in hospital during a protest outside the Iranian embassy. Police were called to Knightsbridge on Friday after reports of a fight. Video on social media appeared to show 2 men lying on the ground in a fenced-off section of the road. The 7 men are due in court tomorrow. Campaigners marking Windrush Day have urged the government to protect Notting Hill Carnival as its future is under threat because of a lack of funding. In the 1950s, Notting Hill, of course, became home for many of the Windrush generation, some of whom went on to play a key role in the creation of the event. Lawyer Jacqueline Mackenzie said the carnival being at risk adds insult to injury for Windrush scandal victims. And London is marking the 77th anniversary of Windrush, with events including a new film featuring one of the scandal's victims being shown on the screens at Piccadilly Circus. In 2018, it emerged hundreds of people weren't recorded correctly by the government, so many were wrongly detained, deported and denied their legal rights. Today, they're still fighting for justice. The government says, meanwhile, it wants the carnival to go ahead and event organisers should work with the police and council to keep people safe. People living with Parkinson's disease are giving triathlon a whole new meaning today. From fishing to judo, people at the Sport Parkinson's Triathlon in Twickenham are trying a range of sports as research shows being active for just 2.5 hours a week helps manage some of the symptoms. It's something event organiser Charlie has experienced himself.
There's no cure at all, and the only way of really keeping it at bay is exercise. And so it's a really great day for Parkinson's community to come together as one and try and keep healthy and strong till the cure comes along, which is our motto.
Now, the theatre is a staple of London nightlife, but for many, tickets can be a little expensive. Enter West End Live. Now in its 20th year, the free festival sees hundreds of performers swap the stage for Trafalgar Square to give musical theatre fans a snippet of their shows. Anna Geary went along.
Described as Glastonbury for theatre lovers. Now in its 20th year, West End Live returned to Trafalgar Square this weekend, giving fans a chance to watch snippets from shows. Among the performers, Carrie Hope Fletcher did a turn from Calamity Jane. On its UK tour, it stops in Bromley in September.
Really nostalgic. Everyone's got a story about Calamity Jane. You know, they walked down the aisle to Secret Love. Their nan introduced it to them when they were kids, and it reminds them of them. Like, everyone's got a story about Calamity Jane.
On hosting duties, 2 stars of the stage. Zoe Burkitt has just finished her year-long stint as leading lady in the Tina Turner musical.
The adrenaline is still, I think, pumping through my body. I literally finished the show last night to a sold-out crowd, which was amazing. Had to get my hair braided last night, so I was up till 3 in the morning with my mum as well. So I've had about 4 hours sleep. I'm just running on caffeine and sunshine.
The event has always been free to attend. Over the past 2 decades, it has evolved to attract crowds of tens of thousands.
I started off tiny with Westminster in Leicester Square, and at that time trying to get the shows to perform out of context was pretty impossible. And then we persuaded them, and in 2012 for the Olympics I set myself the challenge of getting every single show. We'd moved to Trafalgar Square and I did it, and we haven't really looked back.
The spirit of the weekend is about bringing theatre to the masses. Now the council want to build on that success.
We're doing a lot of work in partnership with the Society of London Theatre on their Theatre for Every Child programme to try and get as many school kids in Westminster into theatres through free tickets and discounted tickets. And last week we reopened the official London Theatre ticket booth where anyone can go and queue up and get discounted tickets for shows.
The party returns next year for 21 years of the capital's biggest theatre celebration. Anna Geary, ITV News.
Today marks 77 years since the Empire Windrush arrived, bringing passengers from the Caribbean to a new life here. While events are being held to mark Windrush Day, many of those who were later wrongly accused of being here illegally are struggling with the government's compensation scheme, and a report claims it's paying out far less than it should. Frankie McCamley reports.
Arrivals at Tilbury. The Empire Windrush brings to Britain 500 Jamaicans.
The Windrush generation were invited here. They were asked to come to work and help rebuild post-war Britain. Hatisha's mother was one of them. She moved to the UK from Barbados in the 60s, employed as a nurse.
This is what we knew as home. I came to this area, Ilford, Seven Kings. Started school, left college, and then I joined the army.
After meeting her husband and having children here, she applied to renew her passport, but was told she wasn't entitled to it anymore.
And the answer came back that Barbados is now independent, and that's where you were born, so you have to take on the nationality of Barbados. But you're born British. You come to Britain, which they call the motherland. And then you realize that you're told, you're not British, so who am I?
Hatisha and her husband couldn't get employment, lost their home and were denied access to services like medical care. In April 2018, the then Prime Minister Theresa May apologised for the treatment of the Windrush generation. An inquiry was announced and a compensation scheme established. After initially being told she wasn't entitled to money, she's now been offered £40,000.
The reason I think it's an insult is because of the hoops that they've wants us to jump through.
Van has been helping Hatisha and dozens more with their legal claims, but is finding those who don't have legal help are being offered much lower amounts.
What we're finding is that there's a significant gap between what the Home Office have been offering, that cohort of 17 cases, the average amount has been about £11,000. And then after legal representation, or lawyers essentially, it went up by a figure of 7 times, 8 times, to 83,000.
A Home Office spokesperson has said, "We reiterate our commitment to ensuring victims of the Home Office Windrush scandal are heard, justice is sped up and that the compensation scheme is run effectively. We recognise there is more to be done, which is why ministers are continuing to engage with community groups. But for Hatisha, money cannot cover the damage that has been done to their lives. The effects are much deeper." Frankie McCamley, BBC London.
British Airways has cancelled today's flights between Heathrow and Dubai and Doha, citing recent events in the Middle East. BA says it's contacting customers and will offer to rebook them onto later flights. Now, 3 years ago, the Dixon family discovered that not one but 2 of their 3 children have an incurable disease that's so rare there are only 80 cases around the world. Well, with no treatment, they've been raising money for research to help others with the condition. Nikki Ford has been to meet them.
The Dixon family are relaxing at home after completing a recent charity walk which spanned 40 kilometres across London and took 9 hours. It was to raise money for Cure DHDDS, a charity Mum Mel set up to highlight a rare genetic disorder which affects her 10-year-old daughter and 15-year-old son. Something so rare, only 7 cases are confirmed worldwide.
There's very limited support for rare conditions. It's really down to the families to help fundraise. So at the time we got the diagnosis, it wasn't just the diagnosis we were getting. We were told if we wanted to do something about it to try and prevent symptoms from getting worse, we would have to really fundraise for the research ourselves.
The condition causes tremors and seizures, and without treatment, symptoms such as psychosis and cognitive decline can take hold. So the family have been ramping up efforts to fund a breakthrough. The last walk was organised to help all those with rare conditions.
We called it a warrior walk, and the reason we went for the title of Warriors is because we believe that, well, our kids and I think all those fighting rare conditions are warriors.
Nikki Ford, BBC London.